we're here with Sarah, and we're going to talk a little bit about auditioning, and specifically, Sarah Sky had an audition for a movie. And so what I wanted to talk to you a little bit about was the fact that it had one scene, but the scene took place, it was very odd, in my opinion, because it was set up in 3 different locations. So I felt that the way that the scene could have been handled is that the way that she walked in could have come in from off screen. And then, because at one point she needed to come in and see her, I guess her father or the boyfriend of her mother or whatever it was. Yeah. So
I had her in and kind of a double take when she noticed them.
Yeah. And then the next scene was her in her room. So even though I know casting is seeing and understanding the scene, I think that it would have helped for her to almost leave the camera again and turn around and come back in. So there's like, okay, we're in the next room. Does that make sense? And so either that or there needs to be a very long pause in between there so that it's like, okay, we're set up in the next literal room.
So you want her to walk, like literally stop, catch her dad, and then walk off the screen.
Because once again, she is. It's
the next scene. She's doing her
exactly,
looking at her injuries.
Exactly. So, and then the last part we actually kind of already discussed where she's
so weird. We did not know what to do with that. Sky was like, "This doesn't make sense. How am I supposed to switch? I'm supposed to be really sad." It was a really sad, emotional moment for this kid.
Right.
And then the next scene, she's supposed to be talking to a video camera about a book that her little sister discovered.
Yeah.
Literally went from it, nothing that had to do with the previous scene to the next one. So we just did our best. We just literally I gave her a notebook to pretend it was the book, hold up, and it was very odd.
I think actually it almost would be really kind of interesting if she also grabbed the camera and kind of fiddled with it and been like, but instead of
use the camera?
Yeah, it's almost I know that she said, but it says video camera.
Yeah.
So so it says to me that it's more 80s, early 90s type of thing.
Yeah, the vibe I'm getting is like those movies where and I've seen them before, where there's like it's like the person is keeping like a diary on a camcorder, and that's what I think. I don't know because I don't know too much about the script, but that's what I think it's alluding to. Because I think she's like, in other bad news today, like she's already had a crappy day because of what went down, and then she has to talk about this that her little sister found for the big red dog, which is like a annoying thing to her. But it was so
if she literally went up and kind of like. And then backed up and then went.
To do it with the because the scene was it took a lot out of her to do this scene.
Right.
Very emotionally charged. It's something that she's never really had to do a scene like this before.
Yes. Yep. But she did really great.
Really angry enough to slap her father across the face and then get so almost angry tears. And she worked really hard to try and get her eyes to water. When she, and the other thing that stinks is it doesn't say that the child cries. It says that they come in her eyes. Right. They actually did, but you can't see it on the camera because she's so far away.
Yeah, I hear you on that. Which brings me up to the last point where she slaps, but she holds her hand back, which is the only part with her slap, I was like, she looks great, but I brought up the script to see if she was supposed to be reserved or whatever, because I was like, if you're slapping somebody, you're like, and she needs to follow through with that. Okay. So that would be the only thing that I would say to her is that she needs to do.
It's hard because I'm reading and doing a lot of things, but in the past when she's had to slap someone, I've actually held something, because when you actually hit something, it looks more convincing than just slapping the air. Yeah. I think that should hold something up for her to slap.
I think if it helps her, then I think that would be great. But I think that follow through, because if you watch her tapes, she holds her arm just about here.
I watch it. Well, because I notice after she does it, her hand, she goes like this, because then she's using her hand like to be angry. Like, I think you're right. She stops it, and then she's like she's using her hands to,
Yeah. And I'm not, so I wasn't sure, did she slap the person? Did she not slap the person? So
yeah, same thing. He said her slap wasn't commencing.
Yeah. So
I have to break the news to her. She had a sleepover last night, and she's at her girlfriend's house, and she was up really late. They're still sleeping. And she was prepared to do the second scene, because, like I told you in the last interview, you have to split them up. So that first one, we worked for about 2 hours doing. And get it right. And she's going to be, but I think, I have to think of how to approach this with her, because I don't want to upset her either. I think what we'll do is, this is what I'll say to her. We'll do scene 2, because that's what we're really focusing on. We went over the lines last night. Scene 2 has a lot more lines than scene 1 was very emotionally charged. To really show herself as an actress. But scene 2 is more lines, in chunks of lines. So we made a couple of cue cards just in case she needs to look. We ran through it last night. She knew it. She knew it without the cue cards, so she knew the lines. So I think that's also another really important thing for parents to know, is when you do make the cue cards, don't have the kid rely on the cue card. They still do memorize.
Exactly.
It's like to help them, but it's not to use as your primary source of doing the scene. It's just if she gets stuck, because some of these lines are so intense and it goes on for a long time. She can glance up and see what she's supposed to say.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. And if I don't recall if the second scene has the same situation where she's like in 5 different locations.
No, she's not. She's in one location, but she is talking to 3 different people.
Okay. So yeah, gosh. That's right. I don't want to talk about the actual script, because
can't talk too much about it.
Can't talk about it. But
I guess what I was saying before is I'm going to approach this, and we're going to go in just like we had planned, do scene 2, so we can get that one done. Because if worst comes to worst, and she's having a really hard time, maybe we can edit the first one. But and then I'm going to say to her, "Hey, I talked to Darlene today, and there was just a couple little things you needed to change. She thought I'm going to beef her up. She thought you did great. She did do great. She did do great.
She was fantastic. I thought the emotional part of it was, and I get that it's hard, and I thought it was, but we need that extra 3% in order to.
And I'll tell her that. I'll tell her. I'll say, you already know the lines. You already know what to do. It's going to be super easy. This is what we need to do. And actually, I'm gonna. You mind if I use my phone real quick and just put them in my notes? Stuff that I like to, when I'm redoing an audition. I think it's important when your manager tells you to do something, you keep it, and I'm not do that. And of course, because I'm talking to you on this, I'm not doing it. Okay. So what we said, the slap, she needs to do better.
Correct. Follow through.
Changing rooms, and then the camcorder.
Yes.
Camcorder.
Yeah. Yep.
No, all set. Thank you. All right. I'm in that right now.
But no, I think, once again, I think she did phenomenal. You sent me the 3 takes. Her second take was by far the best and most believable. When she screamed was by far, I thought, because you had asked, and that was by far my favorite take. So, yeah. So, all right.
We'll redo it if it's okay with you. After we redo it, I will send it back. I'll send the new one back over. I'll try and get 3 takes or two takes of it at least.
Yeah.
Then you can kind of pick. And if the emotion isn't as good as yesterday, because I don't know, because she still is a kid. I don't know if she can do it. So if it's still not as good, then maybe we can have a conversation, outside of this, and figure out which one should we just go with the old one, edit that, or we'll go from there. Does that sound good?
Sounds good. That sounds great. All right, so let's talk a little bit about other things about an audition. We wanted to kind of go and talk a little bit about eyelines and how you handle that type of thing. We talked about, in this particular instance with this particular script, how there was a father. There's also a mom. I do know in this particular script, there's two people who kind of walk in to a room, and how you handle all of that.
It was a hard, this one,
This one was so hard.
I'm sorry, this video was taken up with this one audition because it was hard. She's had another one I remember where she had to like get thrown. That was a hard one too. She had to get thrown. Someone throws her into a room and she had a bag. Do you remember that one? Yeah. And we didn't put the bag. Was the bag on the floor? Was it on her left? So it unfortunately sometimes it is a guessing game. Like this particular one that we just did right now, you know, because they always tell you when you do an audition, you have to film kind of from here up. You know what I mean? They don't want to really see your body. But this one that she just did, she has to go from standing to sitting on a bed to curling up with a pillow to standing. Like it was a lot of moving. So I did have to back up when I filmed this, and it wasn't close of her face. And I thought about if I had an extra hand, I could zoom in with my camera and zoom out. But I don't have an extra hand, and I don't have that technology. So I just kind of a little bit. And when she walks in to the scene, you actually see it was like cutting up her head a little bit because
you could see the camera go down.
She went. That was one. I literally, when I was reading, I just like, but then after I watched, you could hear her, oh, and I'm like, oh, I had a good one. So
yeah, so it is very, very difficult to try to figure out how they want it all to be filmed, and a lot of it is a guessing game, and really it's just like you need to get the best possible shot that you possibly can and be like a director of photography and all of that. But the key is, yeah, it is. And ultimately you want to just get your child's emotion on tape, you know, and movements on tape as much as possible. So as she's reading or as she's doing her audition and somebody walks in, you want to always keep the eyeline in the same place of the person who is doing the moving. So
we have
how do you do that?
We do like, I'll say, like this scene had mom and dad. I'll say, where's mom going to be? And she'll say, the vase on the desk. Where's dad going to be? The picture on the wall. So she'll know when she's talking to mom because, and this is also a difficult part for a child because when, you know, you are the one who's reading the line on the camera, the parent, you're the actual parent, me, you, whoever's doing it with them. You're reading like this. The child's tendency is to look back at you because they're answering you. It's really, and she's nailed it. She doesn't even look at me at all anymore. But when she was younger, it was hard because she would forget that mom was the vase and dad was the picture frame. She'd turn to me and say it. And you're like, no, you have to stop the tape. She'd have to remember that's mom where you're looking when you say the mom line and that's dad. But it's, you're reading the same line, which is tricky. Some people have two people read. Sure. Like, you know, there's been times when she was younger where I'd say I would need two readers because she couldn't remember where mom was, where dad was. Now that she's older, she doesn't even bat an eye. She remembers where that character is. She's not tempted to look at me.
And I think sometimes it's really important to also know that it's not like, you know, that a lot of times it's just
a glance.
Yeah.
This particular scene, I know we keep going back to it, but it's because we just did it. With when the dad is begging for her forgiveness, she purposely didn't look back at him.
Yes.
She just kept looking at her mom. Even though he's saying the line, she was just like so aggravated that she couldn't even look. That's what she wanted to portray, she told me. That's why she didn't look. And when he said something, no, because that would look stupid.
Yeah.
If she's going like this, she kind of was like, just like looking at her mom, like the whole time, even though he's trying to beg for her forgiveness. You know what I mean? Yeah. But it depends on, I guess it depends on the scene. If the kid will look back and forth. It's one of those things I think you have to kind of know. You have to, you have to kind of think about which is also another really, really hard thing because I didn't even think to have her leave the room to come back in the room. You know what I mean? Like there's little things like that where that was my call. That wasn't Sky's call. That was me as the director. You have to become a director when you're a parent.
Right. Well, I mean, this is, you know, this business is so very subjective. And I think that's the important part of like having like somebody, a team that you can kind of look at and go, what do you think of this? And so on, or whether you have a coach or whether whoever it is that's involved kind of go, what do you think? So that it's not just you kind of dog paddling through it all and going, what do you think? What do we do? What do we do? Sometimes parents should attend classes of some sort, whether it's script breakdown or actual acting classes or whatever, or if their child is attending the classes, that they should be right there taking them along with them so that they have concept of the classes.
I think you're right. I think you're right. They don't offer that. We can offer that.
I know, really. I know. It's like, because I do think that you're the one who's doing the majority of it through most of their lives, trying to break down a script. And if you don't know how to break down a script, how is that going to work for you?
It's funny you say that, because if I don't delete, I have a lot of videos of auditions that I've done in the past. And some of them I looked at, like I remember looking at my lead auditions when she was really little, and she's talking to the camera.
Yeah.
Like, because you're not supposed to, parents. You're not, when the kid is acting, in my brain, it doesn't make sense to not look at the camera when you're trying to act, right? You think you'd look directly at the camera at the person. You're not supposed to. You're supposed to look off a little bit. And I didn't know that. And I'm sending in these auditions with my kid acting to the camera, which is not what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to never really look at the camera, except for maybe if they're like the camcorder thing that just for this moment we're talking about. But but the thing is that no one tells you these things. There's not like a book that says, okay, parents, don't have your kid look at the camera.
Right. Unless, of course,
background that has a shadow. That's the other thing. Like, background is also a thing. I told you I wanted to mention in our next interview that, I have this blue backdrop that I use.
See how you pop?
Yeah. I feel like you got kind of crazy. But I also have good lighting. Like, I have a window that's like across from me that's because I use natural light as much as I possibly can. Yeah. But sometimes at night you can't do that. And there is a shadow, and there is and I don't think that's going to make or break the deal if your kid's a really good actor. But I do think that a level of professionalism, another really good hack that I tell parents is go to the Salvation Army, because I've talked to other parents about this. Salvation Army, Savers, whatever is your like thrifty store or Walmart, get a piece of blue fabric. So if you're traveling, say you go on vacation, say you're going with your family to Cape Cod for the weekend, or Florida or something. That seems to be when you get these auditions. It just seems to be that way. So you pack the ring light in your suitcase, you fold up your sheet, and you use your bathroom. The bathroom in the hotel that typically, not always, has beautiful light.
Yeah.
And I take the shower curtain and I put it, the sheet, and I put it over the shower curtain. So you have a nice blue background. You set up your ring light along with your lighting. Even you should see me. I've gotten up on desks, sinks. Like, my butt is in the sink and my leg is up like this. Sometimes, but that is typically when you're traveling where you get the best lighting.
It's amazing to me, the people who will sit there and say, oh, well, I'm going on vacation. I won't be doing any auditions. And I go, what? So, it's like you're just in another, location. Just get your stuff together. It takes them a little while to understand that you have a phone, you have a space, you just need to continue doing this, because in the end, there's not for every 100 adult roles, there's like one child rolled, and you need to take advantage of that.
You always need to, even though, which speaking of, we have to talk about another thing that you've given Sky, which we'll talk about another time. You typically literally every single thing, just do it. Just give it, just do what you think you can. And I don't know, it's important. And we were on tour for 6 months, and it's funny. Poor families know, because they're working. You're constantly just recently, Sky was on. Hold on one second. I'm sorry. Was in the for the Les Mis Broadway national tour that she had done previously. She was playing in front of the kids. She didn't go with me. She went with her aunt. She went with, not her dad. So I didn't any of her stuff. I didn't pack the ring light or the sheet. What happened? She got an audition. I was like, oh my God. But thank God the other parents were so kind, because they do have that stuff. They do travel with that stuff. One of the parents came right up, set up the lights in the hotel room for my daughter to do it. They didn't have a backdrop. she had to stand on a radiator and use the back of the curtain from the outdoor window. But we made it work, and
you just make it work. Exactly. So, all right. Well, I think, we've covered quite a bit today, actually.
And I apologize that a lot of it was the other talking about her audition, but I think that's important, right? For
Yeah.
parents to see that.
Oh, yeah. I think that it's great because I think that
parents take notes and do it. Don't be like, oh, like, I think you probably had parents that are like, well, I did that, or I don't, like.
So, I do get some pushback every now and then from people who will say different things, and I don't want to get too specific, but I do get pushback, and I will say that, managers, agents, whomever, we do this 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, and we see all levels. And for some of us, like myself, I've been doing this almost 30 years or over 30 years. I've seen it all. I work with everybody, producers, directors, casting, other agents, other managers. We all talk, we all compare, and I'm trying to do this to help inform people and give them guidance, because I know that doing it on your own is really difficult.
It is.
And, to inform people, to let them know how it all works. And transparency is helpful. So pushing back, it's really hard to do anything in this industry by yourself.
Yeah, no, I would agree. Especially when there's no book. There's no book that tells you how to do it.
Yeah. And there was, it's really, people want you to succeed. There's no reason why they don't. There's no reason why there's somebody sitting there going, well, I want you to redo this out of some sort of malice.
No.
They want you to redo it because they want you to get the job, because everybody wins then.
Right. I think sometimes it's hard for people to take criticism. You know what I mean?
Right.
But in this industry, you have to take all the criticism, whether you audition in person and you don't get it, and they tell you something, you take it as a learning experience, and you remember what they said.
Exactly.
You've had a number of auditions where they've told Sky, you didn't get the job, but because you need to work on this, this, and this. And we keep, when it happens, it stinks. You're like, oh, I didn't get it, or I worked so hard that my managers make me. But you're like, but I do it because you know that it's only going to help you improve as an actor.
And God knows, Sky has gone out for a ton of different stuff that she hasn't always gotten. And it's not always because she hasn't put out the best performance. It might be just because she wasn't the right look, like we've discussed. She just didn't.
This whole it's so hard on. We don't know what dad are going to look like. And this is a movie. Theater is a little more flexible. They don't necessarily care what you look like in theater. I think that's the theater. You have a little more wiggle room. Your mother could be Asian, your father could be Indian, and you could be white. They don't care what you are. But in a movie, if your mom's Asian and your dad's Indian, you're going to be biracial. You're going to have to look hard.
Right. I mean, we could go through some of the stuff that she hasn't gotten, like when I think it was Spy Kids 3 or whatever. She was up for one of the kids, and I think the lead that ended up getting it was visibly much younger.
And she was visibly more white looking. Like, it was Sky's biracial. They were looking for a Hispanic kid, which she a lot of times gets cast as Hispanic because she looks Hispanic. But this Hispanic child was way fairer skinned, and the mother in it is redhead in Spy Kids, and the dad is Antonio Banderas. So they were looking. Sky didn't really couldn't cast what they were looking for. Even if she was a superstar, even if she was younger, it's like a formula. You don't know what they're looking for a lot of times. So I always tell people, don't get discouraged. You might be too old. They may be too skinny. We're just talking to one of the parents, and then I'll let you. I'll cut this off. One of my friends in the industry, and her daughter, she saw that it was a movie that Sky just did. And she's like, darn it, my daughter didn't get it. I saw that. I looked at the IMDb, that Sky was in it, And I'm like, oh yeah, well, I think they said that the character was like a rounder faced girl. And it's funny. I looked at the picture because I have pictures of her and the little girl. It was cast. And yeah, adorable, adorable little girl, much rounder face than this particular girl who's like a stick. And so I
Yeah.
said to the mom, don't feel bad. And I showed her the little girl. She goes, oh my gosh, she looks just like my daughter, but rounder. You know what I mean? Because her daughter's like little skinny thing. That's because she just did. And it was just about that, which is
Yeah.
crazy, right? You just don't know. You just don't know what they're looking for. And don't let that discourage you. Keep going. Keep trying.
Yeah. I have another little girl that I rep, and this is like the craziest thing in the world, where she needed some new headshots. So I was taking some screenshots of another actress that I thought she looked pretty similar to. And I was taking the shots and I said, oh my God, these are really fantastic shots. They were pretty dramatic shots. They were a lot of like heavy shadowing and all this stuff. And I was going to send them to her mom. I don't think I ever got a chance to send them off to her mother. Anyways, she was the little girl who ended up getting pinned for the Roses, which was it was a remake of War of the Roses, Kathleen Turner and from the 80s. And come to find out that she ended up not getting the movie, but the little girl that I took the screenshots of is the one who got it.
That's so interesting. What? Yeah.
I was like,
with Darlene. Darlene knows her stuff. She knows what's gonna happen.
Yeah. I was like, okay, that's so strange. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And the crazy part is, even a stranger, they both have the same first name.
That is weird.
I was like, are you sure you have the right one?
Hey, what about this one? What about this one? Yeah, that's good.
All right. Well, thank you very much for spending the time with me, and good luck with the audition today. And I can't wait to see it.
If she ever wakes up from her sleepover, that I still haven't gotten the message. So let her sleep as well, she's gonna need that energy.
Tell her she did a great job. You know, I hate the fact that it might be just some technicalities in it, but
we'll look, we're just gonna go in it and just try it again, and we'll send it over, and we'll chat later about it.
All right, sounds good.